Does anyone know what this is or what it's for? Probably seen one hanging somewhere before. But do you know how to use it if a fire breaks out? Which one to grab if there's multiple? Let's find out. So before we get started, I'll introduce myself. My name is Blake Mink. I've been a resident of Stonington for about 5 years. I just recently joined the Stonington Fire Protection District. I've been with them for about 10 months and taken this BOF class to better educate myself so I can better serve my community. And I'm going to teach you guys a little bit about fire extinguishers today. So let's get started. We probably see them everywhere, hanging on different posts by different doors, possibly in kitchens at different places, restaurants. But do we know how to use them, when to use them, and what to use them on? Or do we just see them hanging there and hope that we don't ever have to use them? So, for a fire to burn, there's 3 things that take place. There has to be fuel, there has to be oxygen, and there has to be heat. This is the fire triangle, and that symbolizes what the fire needs to burn. Okay, so we talked about the fire triangle and how you have to have all 3 sides of the triangle present for a fire to burn. So you have to have oxygen, you have to have a fuel source, and you have to have heat. So in order to put the fire out, you have to get rid of one of the 3. So you can put the fire out by smothering it, which takes away the oxygen. But if the oxygen re-enters, it could take back off. You can put the fire out by cooling, which is cooling the heat source. And once it gets below its combustion temperature, it will put the fire out. There is chemical flame inhibition, which is the interruption of the chemical chain reaction that takes place whenever the fire is burning. And then there's spawnification, which puts the fire out by forming a soapy style of cover over the fuel source, which in turn smothers the fire out. Okay, so we talked about the fire triangle, and we talked about the different ways to extinguish a fire. Now let's talk about the different classifications of fire extinguishers. So just because you see a fire extinguisher hanging on the wall does not mean it is the correct extinguisher for the fire that may be burning. There's 5 different classifications of fire extinguishers. There's Class A, Class B, Class C, Class D, and Class K. And we'll go over what each one of those is. So Class A is used to put out ordinary combustibles. Ordinary combustibles are things such as wood, plastic, rubber, clothing, paper, anything of that sort. Okay, so Class B is flammable liquids. Flammable liquids are things like gasoline, oils, things of that sort, liquids that can combust. Class C is for energized electrical equipment. So what this is for is things such as like electrical motors, maybe in a factory that is running a machine. You want to use this on something that is energized. Once the energy is taken away from whatever is burning, then you can go in with a different class fire extinguisher and put the rest of the fire out. But this is specifically for things that are energized or you think may be still energized. Class D fire extinguishers are for combustible metals. Combustible metals include things such as titanium, magnesium, sodium, potassium, and lithium. Where we're going to see more of this, everything's going to lithium batteries. So this is the extinguisher you're going to want to use on something with a lithium battery in it. Okay, so the last one is Class K, which is cooking oils, things like vegetable oil, canola oil, peanut oil, things of that sort. This is kind of a newer classification of fire extinguisher. This is used in kitchens, like where they're using deep fryers. This will be the extinguisher used for that. Okay, so now that we've gone over the fire triangle, the classifications, and how the fire extinguishers put the fires out. Let's go over which one to pick. So there's fire extinguishers that may have multiple letters on them. So it may have a class A, B, and C classification. So that fire extinguisher is going to be able to put out your ordinary combustibles, your flammable liquids, and your energized equipment. More than likely, you probably won't see a Class K fire extinguisher hanging in the middle of Walmart, for example, and you probably won't see a Class A fire extinguisher hanging in a kitchen. So typically, wherever the fire extinguishers are placed, they're going to be equipped to put out the fire that's in the surrounding area, as long as nothing from an outside source has came in and randomly caught on fire. Okay, so now we've picked which fire extinguisher we got. We're at a fire, we're ready to put the fire out. So there's an acronym that's called PASS. You're gonna pull the pin, you're gonna aim the fire extinguisher nozzle towards the fire, towards the base of the fire. You're gonna squeeze and you're gonna sweep back and forth at the base of the fire, working toward the fire. Now, with that being said, fire extinguishers, they're great for putting out smaller fires. You're not going to want to try to put out a house that's fully involved with a fire extinguisher, because it's not going to work. But if you have a small trash can fire, dumpster fire, or you catch a fire early, maybe a couch is on fire, you may be able to put it out with a fire extinguisher. But if it's too large of a fire, or the fire extinguisher does not successfully put the fire out, you need to get out of the residence or wherever you are, and you need to call 911. This video was a short little explanation as to how fire extinguishers work. There's lots of videos online that go more in detail, but for the everyday civilian that may not have any experience with fire extinguisher, hopefully this helps.